Rarity, it comes from the Latin term meaning far apart or infrequently found. This is definitely infrequently found, and not because of the primer, or Audi calls it Nardo Gray, and it looks effing cool with the bowed out fenders on the side. But really this is infrequently found because of a combination of things. Well, number one, it's a convertible. Number two, it's an Audi, which means invariably it's all-wheel drive. And number three, it has a naturally aspirated V8. In today's day and age of forced induction, that is infrequently found. So let's find out why that's important and what it means. We need to first recognize really how special this is. And you're thinking, oh, it's just a go-fast Audi convertible. It's way more than that. First off, we have a convertible. We've covered it. Number two, we have a car that has a naturally aspirated V8 in a time when we're trying to wring out as much air and efficiency out of 4-cylinder turbos or 6-cylinder turbos, twin turbos, whatever. Here we have a naturally aspirated 4.2-liter lump, which I love. Then add to all of that all-wheel drive in a convertible. All-wheel drive in a convertible. All-wheel drive in a convertible. Let that roll around in your brain a little bit. Put all three of those things together, and you tell me how many other cars that are under 100 grand have all of that. Friends, I've got some sad news to share with you. There are less and less convertibles that are on offer nowadays. And of those convertibles that are on offer, a smaller percentage are of this variety, a folding canvas top. Now, call me old-fashioned, I prefer this, plus it has the benefit of it takes up less room in the back for storage because it's more compact when it is folded. But again, perhaps I'm old-fashioned. I would like to know what you guys think. Do you prefer the newfangled hardtop convertibles, or would you like the traditional Cambria cloth, canvas, whatever this is, folding roof? Let me know in the comments below, or hit us up via our social networks. MotoManTV, all one word. MotoManTV, all one word. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Vote folding top. So here's the gotcha of a 4,420 car, and that is understeer. And it's really not just the weight, it's the way the car is set up. So this is an Audi, which means it's a quattro, basically four-wheel drive auf Deutsch, or really Spanish or Italian. And basically, it goes to the way the car is set up. Oh, I love that sound. The engine is so much farther forward in the engine compartment in these things. And basically, you've got a more front-heavy car. So I go through turns like this. Granted, the car definitely can handle, especially if you know how to drive a car like this, a big, heavy girl like this. But there is definitely understeer, and there's a tendency to plow through some of these turns. But that kind of begs the question of what kind of car is this? Is this a German sports coupe, like luxury sport coupe performance car like an RCF or a M3 or M4, whatever the hell they call them now? Or is this something different? We will find that out later. So let's go a little inside baseball with probably the most important stat of this car. 317 pound-feet of torque, comes in at 4,000 RPM and stays flat all the way to 6,000 RPM. Now, that's kind of the reason why you want a V8. But as a basis of comparison, the only other car in this segment that has a naturally aspirated V8 is Yaguchi-san's RCF. But that comes in at 389 pound-feet of torque at about the same 4,250 RPM. But as a further basis of comparison, Cadillac, yes, I said Cadillac, they have a twin-turbo V6. That puts out 420 pound-feet of torque at 3,500 RPM. Kind of the reason why a number of these car manufacturers are moving to twin-turbo V6s instead of V8s, which kind of begs the question, should I have had a V8 or not? But that's not the only story here. Horsepower is another thing, 450 horsepower. But what's interesting here, it comes in at an astronomical 8,250 RPM. I mean, at the end of the day, you're dealing with a 4,402-pound car, and then add to the fact that it is an Audi, which means it is designed for a quattro system, which means the engine is much farther forward in the engine compartment than most cars out there, especially performance cars. And yes, you can vary the amount of power that goes to the front and rear wheels. It starts off basically 60 back, 40 front, but can go up to 70 front, 30 back, and then all the way to 85 back, 15 front. In situations like that, obviously, I'm not going to get as much in the back as I want, and that's why we get a bunch of the understeer in a car like this. But who cares when it sounds like that? So one of the reasons this car can defy physics and actually make 4,402 pounds somewhat handle is adjustments. And I don't mean just the suspension, I mean the suspension, the steering, the engine mapping, and I believe the transmission as well. And basically, it's if you've driven a recent like S model or RS Audi, all of them kind of have this same drive select system. And what's interesting about the Audi system is the same on this car. You have 3 settings, and 2, you've got like a normal and then you've got a dynamic, but you can actually then go in and set an individual setting. So you can make the steering dynamic and the engine, you can make that normal, let's say if you want better fuel efficiency, which I've got to say, I've tried that this week. Hadn't done me a hill of beans in terms of fuel efficiency, but it has made driving around town significantly more pleasant because I get the better steering where I don't have to like race from light to light. But I guess that, you know, you buy a car like this, you do want to race from light to light. So believe it or not, this was the only car we could scare up around here with a naturally aspirated engine. And as a basis of comparison, when driven back to back, this car walked away from this car as if this car were standing still. Now that's not to say that this is a bad car. I mean, after all, this has 4 extra cylinders and a lot of displacement on this car. But friends, what it does is it points out what this car is and what this car isn't. First, what it isn't. It's not a German sports coupe. It's not a German hot rod convertible, and it's certainly not a sports car. What it is, I would argue, is the German interpretation of the American muscle car. Don't believe me? Follow me for a minute. Basically, it's not the fastest car out there. It doesn't handle as well as other cars, but it does sound freaking awesome. And when you drive it, you feel like you're on the top of Macho Mountain. So with that, what we have here is today's Hemi Cuda convertible. I know, you're probably thinking, how the hell do I make the jump from Audi to arguably one of the most valuable American muscle cars in the world today? Well, think about this for a minute. It's the biggest, baddest version of its car out there. It is the most expensive version of this car out there. And, like our Latin term, it will be infrequently found. But how would you say that in German? Hemi Cuda Cabrio auf Deutsch? Weiß ich nicht. So click here to watch one of our 250 other episodes. Click here to subscribe. And can we ask you guys a favor? Can you watch these within the first 36 hours? Because it gets us more views, which gets us more dollars, which gets you more episodes. And of course, follow us, MotoManTV, all one word, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'll see you guys next time.